Okay, now 10 specific content and topic ideas that you can use to start populating your social media as a CEO. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Dacia Coffee, and joining me is one of my favorite guests, Sina Azmuda. Thank you for being on the show again.
We're back.
I know.
We're
I
back.
love this. So today's topic is the social CEO, how to actually do CEO social media. Why does it matter? So we're going to go through do's, we're going to go through don'ts, and we're going to rapid fire give you a checklist on what to say. Because one of the biggest questions we get is, what am I supposed to say on social media? Why am I doing this? So that's the goal of this.
Okay.
And I'm super excited about this because we work with some really dynamic CEOs.
All the flavors.
Exactly. But so many of them have important points of view in the world. And I'm like, put it out there.
Yeah.
It will help your company. It will help your goals. You should be influencing how things are going. You have important things to say. And I find so many so hesitant and so nervous to get on the camera.
Yeah, and to build on that, I think CEOs play the hero character. You know?
Yeah.
From a brand message, when you pull up a company, whether you're doing B2B research or whether you're just looking into a company from a consumer standpoint, they kind of naturally fall into the hero role.
Yeah.
So they have all the things working in their favor to have an authentic platform, to be uplifting, to be a brand message. And you can duff that really easily, right?
Yeah.
Like we've seen that. So there's some things we can review.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I love when we were prepping for this, you kind of had a do and don't framework. And so let's go ahead and start there.
Yeah, okay.
So, what's the first do that you've got on the list? Because I love this one.
Social media will forever, as long as it's still a thing in human lives, I think it will forever be a platform that will only succeed when it is authentically social. So start with that. Whether you're a CEO, whether you're a content producer, whether you're just a personal social creator, the authenticity of being social is the first ingredient that is almost always, I'd say 90%, a part of an ingredient of success.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're wanting engagement, whether you're wanting brand awareness, whether you're wanting to express your emotions correctly, whatever it is, it's an expression of being social. So an authentic approach to that is, how do I create conversation? How do I create feedback? You're not going over there to make a statement every time. So it's really weird to walk into a room socially and be like, I have a statement today.
Yes,
right? So,
exactly.
So it's a dialogue we're trying to create.
100%. One of my favorite questions I have used for myself, as well as coaching other CEOs, is what advice do people come for you naturally? And think beyond the product, think beyond the offering. It's, what do people want to know from you? Because a lot of times that's what's being brought. So you've got to kind of imagine, the other person, that two-way communication and going, okay, what am I typically asked to bring into the room? And so it was interesting, going through my personal experience. We're going to reboot and launch some new personal social channels for me, Halo Effect, right? My brand, separate from Blender's brand. But the thing that people always come to me for and have for years and years and years is personal communication. Yeah. And so that's the thing that it will complement our brand. It will align with what people expect from me, but it's what they want from me. Yeah. It's not, this is what we are.
Yeah,
this is what
don't
we
be a
believe.
poster.
Exactly, but it's, okay. And I tell you what, one of the things I find so challenging for some CEOs, and myself included, is, I hate this phrase, it's not dumbing it down. It's remembering that you're under the curse of knowledge, and that sometimes what you want to say, people haven't learned the lessons and been on the journey yet to receive the information. And so giving them more blocking and tackling content sometimes is actually the best thing you can do. And it's simple.
Yeah. I would just build on that and simplify it down to, you can be the poster child of your brand and you can be the poster comments. That's fine. But we have a CEO that we actively work with who I would say is square down the middle, 50-50, statement making. And he's also known for challenging his community and questioning and requesting information.
Yeah.
He uses his social media authentically to drive decisions of his own. Hey, I'm thinking about, can you help me with? And
I love that.
there's truly value there in many ways, but the community that you're fostering will also become a part of your brand and your message if it's done correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love it. Okay, now the second one we were talking about, so segue from that is
a don't?
Brand, well, I was going to say on the do's.
Okay, you want to stick to do's.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly, if that's all right.
Sure.
So the brand voice.
Okay.
Like, do align with the
Yeah.
brand voice. Now, what do you mean from that? Because I want to make sure people understand
Yeah.
that it's not meant to be restrictive, but it is meant to be intentional.
Yeah, so brand voice is going to be thin ice. And let me explain that. If every single one of your comments falls in line with your brand and your brand only, you're doing the thing that people don't want, which is you become the poster child of your brand, the expectation of your brand, and you lose that authenticity of a social experience. Now, don't go off a tangent. You don't need to be talking about the latest like Coldplay trend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm talking about. But you do probably need to be focusing in on your audience and making sure you're serving what you want. The biggest analogy I give to people who have no understanding of social, and they're like a baby boomer CEO who understands the value, wants to authentically get involved, is you walk into a restaurant, you know what's on the menu. It's your favorite restaurant. Like, we can all close our eyes and imagine our favorite restaurant. We know what's on the menu. The moment I go to that restaurant and my favorite French fries are no longer there, I'm never going back. There's just too many options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There's too many options. I'm going to find another restaurant.
100%.
Right? And also the people I bring to that restaurant, if their opinion is jaded by what's in that restaurant, they'll never come back either. There's too many options. We have too many things grabbing our attention. So you have to be authentic. You have to be aligned with your brand and vision. Just make a good plan.
Yeah.
Make a good content plan.
Agreed. And I think the preparation going into this is important. So what the CEO's brand is, like doing a little work on how are you perceived, what's inside of the lines and outside of the lines, and what are the core content. And eventually this will flow into what's the format that is best suited. Now, data will help drive that and all of that. You don't have to figure everything out. But I do want to see at least a little preparatory around who am I, and then also align with the company. Now, especially if you're a founder or if you're second or third generation family-owned business, there are personal things that are embedded in your company brand, and you probably need to be in agreement with those because your stamp is already there. And so I'll give you kind of an extreme example, but it's not really. Like whether or not you swear on your social media or whether or not you, but seriously, because there are some brands where that makes so much sense for corporate. And then on top of that, you as a leader, everybody knows that about you. So no big deal. But then there's others where even if you do it in personal, we don't do it publicly because that would be contrary to what you build, contrary to what you're intending to stand for. Mm-hmm. And then it's like those huge speed bumps that are unmarked where you're like, oh my God, what just happened there?
Yeah.
You know,
it's
and
jarring.
then people all of a sudden, and they're so confused, and it just slowed them down on understanding and receiving and engaging.
Yeah, I challenge you on that, on one thing. Have you followed Wendy's Twitter X account?
My favorite.
One of my favorite, right? Like I did some deeper dive into that team.
Yeah.
And I want to know, is this like one sarcastic guy writing like super sarcastic, like so essentially if you don't know, Wendy's X account is one of the most, or Twitter and Instagram account is one of the funniest platforms because
it has been for years.
Yeah, they take the time to roast their competitors.
Yes.
And it's like very deep thought stuff, right? So they'll come up with some super hilarious stuff and they just take a different approach to it. And the team that is managing that account is like, they're just funny people. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So you put off the persona of it, that's just their marketing approach. And so it's like, that can be planned. But it goes back to our point.
Planned, exactly. Yeah. You know, I mean, there's no way that they accidentally did that and then leadership was like, oh, keep going. I just don't believe that. You know, I mean, I think there was a lot of brand alignment there from the beginning.
Comedic roasting is always a good angle.
Exactly. There is a Texas brand that would hire up-and-coming comedians to do all of their social engagement. And it was so funny. And I was obsessed with following them. And they did so many co-promotions with that and really got a lot of
we have a
PR.
serious brand.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it out loud, but we have a serious brand that very much so wants the angle of all of their marketing because it's the insurance space, which is a very matured space.
Yeah.
And to break the ice, it's like, we're only going to do comedy.
Yes.
If we put anything out, it's pure comedy.
Yes,
like
it's so
sarcasm,
good too. Exactly.
Right? You know what I'm talking about?
It's very surprising
Yeah.
stuff. I love those.
Yeah. And I
Those
was
campaigns
like,
are great.
that's fine. Let's do it. Yeah.
Exactly. I absolutely love it. Okay, so you were talking about engagement. So number 3 on your do list is do engage, don't just broadcast. So we've talked about this a little bit. Anything else you want to add? Because I could not agree more.
If we're specifically talking about the CEO positioning himself on social media, the last thing you want to do, the first thing you want to do is show the ability to listen.
Yeah.
As a leader,
Yeah.
right? That's important. Any good leader can say that. And I think if you go and just be the poster boy, that's the one thing you will continue to look like, is just an individual shouting from the rooftop, which is not what you want. So the social experience is going to reinforce your ability to authentically listen and get that feedback from your community you want.
I think one of the things too that a CEO has going for them is when we think about human communication, we tell stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in corporate communication, things have to be short. They have to be either pithy or resonant or right on point because attention spans are slower. But with a CEO, it's possible, if you're bringing that authenticity that you mentioned, to have longer watch times because you can tell a story.
Yeah.
And something that actually matters to people, where they're like, oh my gosh, I understand where they're coming from now, or understand where he or she is coming from now. And so I think this one, a story is a perfect example of, that tweak between being authentic, and versus being broadcasting in a poster.
Yeah, another good example. We have a radio company who is naturally selling communications and surveillance. Not exactly the most sizzling topic on social media, right? Communications and radio, especially in education, which is very sensitive,
yes.
Right? How do we keep our schools safe? But to drive home conversation, there's only so many times they can say the words like make safety matter, safety with a system, like, these kinds of things. But what if I just use a stat, a compelling stat as the only sentence to drive a conversation? Here's an example. 80% of all education sectors, campuses, claim their radios do not cover their entire campus. What do you think we should do in America, right? And immediately, people have opinions,
exactly.
Right? And you're engaging audiences that are highlighting a problem. And that's an authentic one that we should, talk about.
Yeah.
So leaders posting and focusing on compelling stats, definitely a go-to.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that, I will never forget the first time I talked with that CEO, and he was talking about his company and what they were doing, and his mission statement and what they track beyond just their growth and the corporate health, around lives touched. There's this really interesting human aspect to how he sees the business.
Yeah.
And that's not the kind of thing that is easily communicated in corporate messaging. But a CEO can easily communicate that, and then it gives it broader appeal, where people are like, wow, I really understand why they're in the space, why they do what they do, why this is important, because he has a personal sentiment around it. So,
makes sense
absolutely.
to me.
Hey, Marketing Blender listeners, we have something exciting to share with you.
Our traditional YouTube show and podcast is expanding. We're going to be doing deeper dives on career, technology, innovations, and the stories behind amazing campaigns on our show.
Sometimes we have these conversations that are incredible, amazing. They've got wonderful ideas behind them, but don't quite fit within our traditional model here on The Blender Show.
Yes, a perfect example of that is career advice. We get a lot of questions about that. We also get a lot of questions about AI and how things are changing and what to expect. And sometimes the best stuff is what we didn't say on camera. So this new evolution is where these moments get their chance to shine.
Think of this as our creative workshop, where we get to explore everything from breaking into the marketing industry to innovative leadership approaches, even interviews with CEOs, but all within the high quality insights you've come to expect from the Blender team.
And the best part, everything's self-contained. Whether it's a single episode on a very specific deep dive, or sometimes we will be even doing mini series, you'll be able to get exactly what you want, when you want, where you want it.
You'll be able to find this as a playlist on all of your favorite platforms, the same place that you already get the Marketing Blender show.
Oh, and tip, there is going to be some subscriber-only content, so little benefit for you that follow us every week.
So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, do empower internal voices. Number 4, love this.
So I think you will inevitably run into the problem of what do I do for the content calendar, okay? Especially leaders in a company with presenting, you're not talking about your baby pictures.
Yeah.
You know, the social experience is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Another go-to that helps with the content calendar, helps you stay consistent, keeps, you know, the restaurant menu analogy full at all times, is there is true value in your company seeing you, right? These are your people, your peers, your partners, seeing you prop them up in a social environment.
Yeah.
You do that at bars, you do that at your, you know, your gigs, you do that at your conferences. Why not do that on your social media?
Yeah.
Employee of the month, you know, highlight of the week, you know, and that's an authentic thing. I know.
Shout-outs.
Yeah, they do
Yes.
these things as good leaders already. Moving that over to the digital environment, not that hard of a concept. You already know how to do this.
Yeah.
You know, help me out here. Let me help you fill out your calendar is a common one. And there's a don't there that we should talk about too. If you take the approach of your platform becoming the highlight space as a CEO,
Yeah.
murky waters, make sure you're covering all bases there. If you prop up a platform, a project, or a persona in your company and you shadow another one, you just made a very public issue.
Yeah.
Right? So I've seen that happen before too.
Yeah.
But that's more so opportunity than it is murky waters.
Well, and it's a great point because you started this one by saying, let's talk about a content calendar and plugging people in and scheduling and being intentional. Like, what are we recognizing this month? Goes on the calendar, and it's a great tool if you're being intentional to balance that out, you know, and look at, okay, like who have I shouted out and what are we featuring? I think that's such a really important point. You know, and then what I love about this one too is if you're a leader that has a tendency to talk too much.
Sure.
You know, bringing team
I feel
members.
attacked.
No, but bringing team members in. I mean, I do this, you know, bringing team members in calms that down and then can share a different aspect of you because people see how you engage. So if it's live, or if it's a conversation. On the flip side, for leaders that are like, I don't want the spotlight. I hate this. You know, like the reason I love being a leader is because I like being behind the scenes. This is another way to balance that out, you know, and that brings your authentic self forward because you never want it to be about you. But if you're the one people will listen to, then it is, you know, you can lift as you climb. And so I like this approach because it's healthy no matter what spectrum you fall on, from introvert to extrovert, you know, what your tendencies are.
Have you ever listened to a solo podcast? Like, they're kind of hard to listen to.
I always get burned out on them.
Yeah.
Like I will be like, love it. Okay. And I'm pretty sure I know everything's coming.
Solo webinars.
Yep.
It's like, okay, like, bro, stop talking. Like, same thing with the social experience. Like, I don't want to listen to you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
involving people is a very natural thing that we all tend to like.
Yeah.
So even as we bring it up, if you're doing webinars and content, that is an interview experience. Guest speakers are a very common angle that everyone takes. Sports people take it like it's intentionally a conversation. It's a social experience.
Exactly.
And it should stay that way.
Exactly. I know. And so I know they're the hardest to do. Oh my gosh. You think because you own all the content, but when I have to do them, I am like, they are burdensome. Like I feel so bad for Monica or who, you know, like, or production team.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones where
Shout
I'm like,
out.
stop. Yeah, exactly. But they're the one, you know, I'm like, stop again. Stop. Like they're so tough. So little tip on that. Okay. And then the last do that you've got, and I love this one, is do understand the impact.
Yeah.
You're important. CEOs, your voice is important. So let's start there because this is important. So what do you mean by that?
We touched on it a little bit about caution the murky waters of propping up and giving a platform to your peers and shadowing others. It's seen, and you'd be shocked at how much impact your team has when you prop up an individual or specifically a project.
Yeah.
Right? Companies often talk about their efforts, their roadmaps. So make sure that all the light is being shed correctly and politically and taking that angle to it when it comes to the HR side of this and the PR side of it. But driving awareness, engagement, trust, like that is still to this day, social experiences and social platforms are your public face of your company.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, LinkedIn, your company is tagged. It says you're the CEO. You will be found.
Yes.
And I believe the stat right now is around 85 to 90% of all B2B relationships are primarily scoped on social platforms. So the first go-to metric that an entity will do to vet your company after they get off the Zoom call with you is to go over to LinkedIn,
100%.
search you. So let's go back to the restaurant analogy. If the restaurant doesn't have Yelp reviews, Google reviews, if it doesn't have an address posted, if it doesn't have a phone number posted, it is the equivalent of not having a social presence.
Yeah, that's right.
So
if I can't see photos of that restaurant, I ain't going.
So a lot of companies will stop and go, what's the impact of social media? And we only got like 10 clicks last month. And I'm like, do you know what those 10 clicks were?
Yeah.
You know, how many new clients did you have last month? It was like 4 or 5, right? Like I guarantee you a percentage, let's say 30% of your new clients were probably those 10 clicks.
Yeah.
Right. So
yes, social proof.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Don't get lost in the analytics, but have them. But understand the impact of social media is still very prevalent.
And don't limit it to, I want people to think through, not every single time, but when prepping, you have a whole range of stakeholders. Mm-hmm. Current team members are watching that.
Yeah.
Prospective team members are watching that. If you are going after investor money or already have investors, your vendors, depending on your environment, they are definitely watching, sometimes sharing, commenting. Then obviously prospects, existing clients, and just reiterating like, man, I love these guys. That's why I do business with them. But there's so many different landscapes, and this should not be something scary. Mm-hmm. To your point, it should be like, wow, there's these amazing concentric circles in your overall ecosystem and the health and influence of your business that you should be diving into, and you shouldn't be scared. You're already out there. So now it's just about really deciding to have that voice. And we are advocating for prep. Like, I don't want you just blah, 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 just because all of a sudden you got a wild hair. I want you thinking through.
Can you do that one more time?
Blah, 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 blah. Well, I feel like I do that all the time.
Cut that.
Exactly.
I need that clip.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my standard. But, it gets me really excited. And I think there's a little too much fear that intentionality and prep is, can really overcome.
I think CEOs by nature tend to be perfectionists. I think you have to be.
Yeah.
And social media is probably like pure paranoia for them.
Yeah.
For a lot of them. Yeah. And that's why it's outsourced most of the time.
Yep.
Which we'll get to that. But I think this is kind of one of those things that the good CEOs, the really good ones, they know when to turn that switch off.
Yeah.
And there's a happy medium.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Now we need to dive into the don'ts. We are starting to tease a few of them.
All right. Yeah. Let's do it.
So first one, don't go off message.
Yeah. So trend versus, what is working versus trend. So like if you're going to go off lib and just go down a rabbit hole about aliens and pyramids, probably want to do that on a social platform that is personalized.
Yes.
I love it. I'll watch it.
100%.
I know you will too.
Exactly.
But if the face of the company tagged to the LinkedIn page or the YouTube corporate page is talking off topic, it is remarkable how permanent the internet can be.
Yeah.
Whether you click delete or not, there are many, 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 many situations of I shouldn't have posted that. When you're going off topic. So caution.
Absolutely. And as a side note, in that planning process, okay, there are going to be certain social media accounts that are meant to be private, followers only, because it's your family photos and your rants or raves and whatever. I don't really recommend those, but some people do. Great. So then you can have your own CEO topics that are public, where it's your own account, not a corporate account, but a public one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. Pre-decide. Let's pretend, because we have a few of these CEOs, you're obsessed with pickleball. You need to have decided up front that one of your lanes, for whatever reason, is being passionate about pickleball. And there's a reason that it's in your content strategy and why you have a voice. And I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying like it can't just come out of random where you're super angry about
No.
the ESPN broadcasted pickleball tournament. What happened there when people are like, why is he talking about that?
Also, you taught me this. The what's in it for me is very prevalent there for your audience.
Yeah.
And no one cares about your golf swing. Like, and if they do care, they probably care about their own golf swing, not yours.
Exactly. And and there can be shticks, but again, it has to be authentic. Yeah. Let's pretend we have a massive golfing CEO.
Yeah.
Well, if they do a lot of their content on the golf course,
good.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then
start with a swing, build it up to like.
Exactly, but you can use it as a metaphor, and I mean, it can interweave. But again, there's got to be intentionality around that. So I love that. And less is more.
Yeah.
Like I want to see people exaggerate what they're known for. Yeah. Not be like, but I love 11.5 million things. No, we want you to be like obsessed about 3 things, not all of the things.
I think don't go off message is a very bold statement, but showing up and being social, right? Those are the 2 spectrums.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. There's the hyper social and then there's the going off. Pull it in the middle.
Yeah.
Right. Like show your golf swing and then talk about strategy for the year.
And there should be a don't list.
Yeah.
Like for you.
Yeah.
I never talk about politics or I never talk.
Geez.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Common
they're
sense
really
helps.
exactly. But I mean, but they're, and like, okay, if you're Elon Musk and you want to, okay, that's a decision. Yeah. But for most of us normal privately owned company leaders, there does need to be a don't list. And it's not the same for everybody. Some people can talk about their faith and that can be really beautifully intertwined and they're ready for whatever that represents. Yeah. But for others, that's on the don't list because you're not ready for that impact, like and all the cascading effects it could have.
Yeah, it's funny. Elon Musk is probably a great example, actually, to go back and look at these do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
Because he's probably hit all of them, of the do's and the don'ts. Yeah. And you can actually show like stock value. Like this decision was a 30% stock value.
Talk about impact. What's the impact of what you're about to say?
If you want to see mega scale.
Exactly. So if you have all the money in the world, you can kind of ignore us, but you probably know that.
No, I mean, he lost hundreds of billions of dollars.
The question is, did he care? I know.
Right? Yeah, that's fair.
I know. Exactly. Okay, next one.
Don't outsource with oversight. Okay. Every leader of a company is busy. The complaint of poverty of time is not an excuse to not be a part of the social experience.
Yes.
So what do?
Preach.
You have options, right? You can train up a team. You can have a ghostwriter. You can have a marketing company. But ultimately, every single one of those ingredients includes the first of the ingredients, which is I still need a social experience. I still need to be authentic to brand. I still need a plan and a calendar.
Yeah.
So your involvement of outsourcing is not a no. Outsourcing and going, please handle this. This is me. Good luck, and I'll check in next year.
Yeah.
Not an option.
Yeah.
An option. Like that gets snuffed out by your community pretty quickly.
100%. Okay, so 6 months from now, or however long, for a before and after, I'm going to do a podcast on like exactly what I did to relaunch my social. It's so that people can go, but I don't know this, to get that off the table. Mm. But as a example, I love this one because we're going through that right now. And even the process of figuring out who's doing what, because I have a marketing agency, like I can, have team members help me, and I have to because I won't be consistent. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I'm a little older than the really amazing users and content creators of social media. So I'm like, Monica, I don't know how to edit on TikTok, and her and Smart are like, just don't.
I don't believe that. You're fine.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, but those are my insecurities, being like, yeah, but what if I'm cutting things or using trending audio and people are like, what? That's for a dance, not for a scene.
Depends on your audience, right? Like, you always have that.
It totally does. Yeah. But I was like, I went through the process of what do I need to be known for? What do I want to be known for? And what is authentic to me?
Right.
Vetted it with the team, and we were like, yup, and like privately and publicly, then listed all my questions. Yeah. That I was scared of. And so then one by one, we're answering them. So now I'm feeling really confident about that. And then we got to a point where we're starting to build the process, like, okay, when is capture? How do we pre-plan it? All of this other stuff. And I realized very quickly, I thought I would be able to delegate some of my post copy to the team because books, podcasts, like they have endless amounts of stuff they can source. And it turned out to not be true, despite the fact that I'm out there as a speaker, a decent amount. And so I was like, oh, okay. You know, and so I write the post copy. It doesn't actually take a long time now that I had that pre-planning. And then, you know, and then we turn it over. And so we're still building out the process, but it was a really good example. And then I'm also using AI really intentionally. Good. I do not just go, AI, give me 150 posts that you think I should say.
Right.
No.
A good strategy for people like you, and I actually shout out to this individual. She will pre-calendar a quarter of content.
Yeah.
But her cool strategy, not very intentional, but her follow-up is because she questions, and she questions her audience. She's a very reflective person. She's a strategic leader, and that's what her persona and her brand is.
Yeah.
She then goes back and interacts with her own posts for the day. For example, one of her posts for the quarter was something about feeling disheveled or feeling chaos in her life. If you feel chaos in your life,
Yeah.
And in that day, she pulled it up and she's like, let me tell you what just happened with my 4-year-old son.
Yeah.
Talk about chaos.
That's
and it was
interesting.
like reflective for her.
So she's like
her
double
chaos.
posting. That's really cool.
Right. It's like her own reflection, pre-planning a quarter of content. So like, if you do have poverty of time, there's tons of different angles that you can take with this when it comes to outsourcing, but pulling it back to our don't, the oversight is required, right?
Yeah.
The intentionality is certainly there.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. Don't ignore reputational risk. Yes, please.
But you know where my mind keeps going is like what's going on right now and like the Coldplay thing.
I know.
It's like, okay.
That meme or
don't
the memes.
Ignore it's just nonstop. Poor guy. Don't ignore reputational risk. Okay. So what I mean by that is when we take into account social media, and we hit on this before, you have to remember the internet is forever and you can get memed in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So controversy, crisis, politics, PR related stunts, like there's a limit and there's flavor to it, and you just have to know your audience.
Yeah.
If you're Wendy's and you can go and roast Burger King every day, more power to you.
Exactly.
That's the character you're creating.
Yes.
If you're, a corporate leader in an entity that requires trust and intentionality with your brand and your partners, probably not the angle.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
Kind of this is just a reinforcement, really. The reputational risk is the face of your company.
And I think it is a combination of a lot of the things that we've talked about, like being intentional in starting to, and we're really talking about personal branding for CEO social media, and that's appropriate and healthy on so many levels. And one thought about the memes as well is sometimes people have taken negative memes and rode them to even bigger levels of significance and influence and authority because they were honest, and they had fun, or they could laugh at themselves, or they could explain it, or they could lean in, and then they would use what happened from that, Right. And so I think, if you are really thinking about this socially, it's amazing that it's not always one and done. Like you get roasted or you made a misstep and you're just dead in the water forever. It's not true, but I do think people have a tendency to bring that assumption to the table.
Yeah.
But they need to be intentional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's real.
Don't treat it as optional. Number 4, the impact on this one and why it's significant to reiterate. The largest issue or hurdle or fire that we try to put out in the marketing agency is the obvious. It's lead gen, it's future business, right? It's the marketability of your company. The second largest landscape that we tackle, and it's coming up more frequently now, is recruitment.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question I get when it comes to identifying talent, identifying reputation and recurrence of these relationships that you can pull from is what is in your landscape right now that allows you to network that way.
Yeah.
And almost always it's, well, I don't know, we know some people, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, let's take a look at your social media, because that's actually where most positions and relationships are posted and searched and so on, whether it be LinkedIn, a job hunt, or YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's not optional because it touches so many aspects. It's not just lead gen. It's not just the face of the brand and it's a PR stunt. Is actually the way people network today.
Yes.
And I am burned out on social media. It's just truth. From a personal standpoint, I do not load social media anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm on
I
it
do
more
very
than
little.
everyone.
Yeah.
I'm probably more on it more than most people because of it is still a massive aspect. And by the way, YouTube is social.
Yeah.
Right? There's comments, there's likes, there's posts, there's shares.
Yeah.
And the entire platform of YouTube is actually no longer about traction. It used to be about like, what's the top 10 videos on YouTube today?
Yes.
Now it's intentional. Now it's about what's trending in Dacia's life, and let me create an ecosystem around Dacia.
Yes.
So it's a personalized approach to serving data, to serving content. You not being on it is not optional.
No. And the ecosystem's so big. Like I've noticed, we have a number of clients that have interest in someday launching their own podcast. Love that. It's not separate from whether or not and when you post on social media.
Yeah.
It's not separate from all of the other things that you're doing. And it won't succeed if you're trying to keep it and it's, well, I only want to do. No, that's not how it works, because social media is how if people find you and engage and decide to invest that type of time in it. So
the poverty of time thing, you have to, okay, this is how I treat financial fiduciaries and agents when they bring this up, because they're the most egregious of them all, in that they don't commit the time to it, but they could benefit the most.
yes.
If you have time to get a coffee, you likely have enough time to at least think or propagate a post for the week.
Yes.
So it's about habitual habits of thought process, just like you do anything else in your life.
Yep.
Whether it be CEO structure or an advisor or a parent. Do this. When you're drinking coffee from now on, you're thinking about social media.
Exactly.
The moment you're pouring, the moment you're filling up your filter, the moment you're walking back to your desk, those 3 minutes of time from now on trigger social media content for the week, and start with just one a week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a famous leader I follow, and it's interesting. He uses it as a bookends. The second he has an idea that he believes he's going to commit to, before he even invests any money, he immediately launches an Instagram in order to socially connect with the audience and start thinking, do you guys like this? Or do you, you know? And so he's not even scared about giving his idea away. He immediately starts getting into that area. And then the other thing he does is he, every single day, habitually, gets on and simply reflects on his day.
Yeah.
And that's his lane, is his experiences as a CEO and what he's thinking. So he doesn't wander off,
Right.
but it gives him a wide range of things in regards to what he accomplished or what he learned, and it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it's so simple because it's a habit that allows him, who is wildly busy,
Yeah, you also become approachable, right?
Exactly.
And as a leader, like, it's a very, not personally, but I've heard that CEOs, especially high intensity CEOs and those that are managing larger organizations, it's a very lonely place.
Yes.
And that's why you see leadership groups. That's why those things exist.
Because they can't, exactly.
The loneliness, not lonely like I'm lonely and alone, but lonely as in my thoughts and my decisions and my circles, they all have their own intentional and, be it sometimes biased, needs.
Yeah.
I can't trust them because they're worried about their family or they're worried about this project. I need a clean slate, essentially.
Exactly.
And so becoming approachable is a very good thing
Exactly.
for a leader.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. Okay, and then we've got one last one, and we are about to go through a checklist of what could you, just prompts for talking about on social media, and I've got one more resource for you before we wrap up. So, number 5.
Okay, so don't post without strategic purpose. We touched on this sometimes, but I think this is more just reinforcing what you should post, right? Customer success, testimonials, team partnership announcements, questions, statistics, interactions. I think that there's a lot to gain and a lot less to lose for leadership, in specifically on this podcast about CEOs and social media, but more broadly, it is the platform in which you get to project the beaten path you want to create as a leader.
Exactly.
And it's an experience where you get and welcome feedback. Like,
it's so powerful.
How else are you going to do it? Like on a Zoom call? Like, what do you want to do?
Exactly. And, and giving yourself permission to go, who do I want to serve?
Yeah.
Like, how do I want to help people?
Yeah.
We just went through the 7 habits of highly effective leaders or highly effective people. And I redid my personal mission statement, and wow, it's so clarifying, where it's like, oh, It's really motivating, to be like, okay, what kind of servant leader do I want to be out there? So you just rattled off a couple of different things. So let me give you guys a couple more. If you're like, okay, yeah, I like the idea, but what do I talk about? All right. Talk about why you care. And typically this is in form of stories. And so, but thinking about that, and remember, this is 30 to 90 second type of content that we're encouraging. By the way, if it goes longer, good for you. If it goes shorter, good for you. But just start getting out there. So talk about why you care. Talk about what you're seeing in the market and in the industry. You don't have to be right. You just have to be thoughtful. And Sina is exactly right. This is a perfect opportunity to invite engagement in and to be social from the very beginning, because there's an implicit, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What do you think? Type of component there. All right, now we'll let you do 2 straight at the camera. We'll kind of go back and forth.
Include that, or I'll be upset.
Exactly. Get his
yeah.
Zoolander pose.
So do's and don'ts, 2 things that you should do on social media as a CEO. One of my favorites is the team shout outs. Cliche, boring, maybe, but the effect of it internally is outrageous. You do this naturally, you do this internally, you do this in a more private setting inside your company email or your company chats. I guarantee if you're a leader of a large company, this is something you partake in. Making it a more social experience, giving them an even larger platform, huge win for you and your company. Same thing for your partners. When there's a new announcement, when there's a new engagement, when there's something that you can bring to the table that props up your brand and your company, it is certainly something that the community is going to want to hear about. Great opportunity.
And finally, really low-lying fruit, share content from your company's page with a comment. It doesn't have to be 100% you always thinking, what should I say? Grab something that you're proud of or interested in and simply share it with your comments. Don't overthink this. You're a smart, intentional individual. Just be smart and intentional like you are every single day. So we've been through the do's and don'ts, and we've given you topic ideas. We would love to hear your questions speaking about social. Whether you DM me or Sina or post it in the comments, let us know how we can serve you. Couple other tools for you. We recently released a topic on personal branding, and so this gets into the specifics on how to embody and actually go through the process of that intentionality. And wow, it can have massive impact for you, whether you're a social CEO or not. So check out that episode. And Sina, thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Onward and upward, you guys.